Hi guys, Luca here from Sabre Airsoft, and today we got something a little bit different. Today we're working on the SGR 556 from G&G. This isn't a customer's gun, or it is if you might think about it that way. I'm the customer. This is my current daily driver, so to speak. Basically today we are replacing the hop rubber. I'm going to try out this new quantum, however you spell it, pronounce it, bucking. The original bucking that came with it was not doing as well as I'd like, and it could only hop freeze. Tried replacing it with an MR hop from Maple Leaf, and at the same time that I put that in, of course, Negative Airsoft put out a video where he was talking about the issues of having to cut off loads of part of it in order to get it to feed properly. And yeah, the exact same problem. This doesn't feed currently with that bucking, so we're going to try putting this bucking in and see if that fixes it. So, the SGR 556 is a very, very good, out-of-the-box, reliable gun. But it's not without its problems. It is proprietary as all hell. Like, there's some things you can replace. You can replace the spring, the piston, the nozzle. You can replace probably the gear set. But the tappet plate is proprietary. The hop-up unit is proprietary. It's got a standard AG barrel and a standard bucking and standard nub. But the actual housing itself is proprietary. So that's fun. In fact, the hop-up adjustment is done via a screw down at the end here. You literally, above the barrel where the gas block is, that is how you adjust the hop-up. And you'll see as we go inside how it works. So taking these down is a bit easier than normal AGs, because you do the rear pin if it's not being stubborn. Mine is a bit stiff, which incidentally, that's why I've accidentally sheared off the lugs. Nuprol are hooking me up. They are sending me a replacement, which shout out to them, fantastic. Thank you very much, guys. But until then, it doesn't affect it hugely. It does affect the accuracy a little bit because there is a bit of wobble between the upper and lower receiver. However, it's not hugely a problem until you get to a bit of distance, say 50 meters plus. I have made do for a year, but now they're sending me a replacement because I finally got around to asking them. So, yes. Anyway, getting to the hop. This is what I like about these guns, is you can take the hop barrel, everything, spring, piston, in one go. It's a split gearbox, which means we can put that to one side for now. Then, to get to the hop, which is this bit here, you need to depress this lever here, put it back, twist, pull. There we go. Now it's separate, you put that to one side. It does have some very fancy things. For example, in here you see this circuit board here. That is an optical sensor, which means it can stop on empty. Stops you dry firing. Very useful when you've got mags that actually feed. If, however, your mags aren't feeding for whatever reason, that becomes an issue. So the way this hop is adjusted, as I say, is through the front of the gun, through the gas block. That basically, as you screw it in, pushes this outer bit here, which then applies hop there. Okay, so taking the hop off. I've got a grub screw here. Which I can't for the life of me remember what the size is. I'm going to guess 1.5. 1.5. Yep, that's a 1.5mm grub screw there. This is what holds the silver part in place, as well as the tension spring. There's a couple of grub screws that you'll need to deal with, so make sure you've got somewhere safe to put them. So once that's done, you can pull the silver part out. There is an O-ring at the front here, so just be careful of that as you pull it off. Set that to one side. Once that's off, this is where it gets a bit iffy. It can feel like you're breaking it. You need to pull this out. So you depress the hop arm and then lift and pull. and that will release it. Then we can pull that off, pull the tension spring off, and we can then look at removing the hop arm. God, my brain is not there today. Which is an even smaller grub screw. I think it's 1.3. Possibly smaller. Let's see. Yep, definitely smaller. Is it that one? Yep, that is a 0.9 mil grub screw. As you do this, be careful because there is a nub under there, and that is a nub that we're going to be replacing, but it is very easy to lose it. Once you've got it like most of the way, you actually then need to pull it out because it is acting like a rod, basically like a skewing rod. It only screws in part of the way. So pull your hop arm out and then just carefully tilt and give it a tap. If it's not coming out and it's being stubborn, just lever it out, but don't lose it. That teeny tiny little thing is your nub, and it's a very soft nub that comes with it. So you might even be able to use the original G&G bucking and just get a harder nub. So once you've done that, removing the rest of it is much like you would with most other hops on AGs. There's a C-clip here at the back. You just need to lever off. There we go. I got there in the end. And then you can just pull it off. And we can take our... Do be careful of the brass bushing there. Spacer. Pull this hop off. I haven't done anything to this or the lip, so that can be saved and used in another gun. And we get our new one. Let's see. It's got quite a nice square contact patch in there. Don't know how well that's going to come up. You can just about see it there. Don't see, like, quality control looks pretty good. There's not really any flashing, which is nice. Let's get that on there. A little bit of silicone oil doesn't hurt, but in this case didn't need it. It's one of the few times you might hear me say that. Maybe some PTFE would be better. There we go, if that's nice and lined up. If you didn't know, there is a notch on the bottom here, and on these rubbers in particular, you'll see that there is a corresponding notch there. Line those up and it will slide on. If that's too much for you, the quantum ones have a handy little arrow. That's up. Cool, now we just reverse the steps. We want to make sure that the arrow, the delta, that's on the top here, lines up with where the hop arm lives, which is the underside here. So another way to remember is line the slit up with this at the bottom here. In she goes. Seems like it's lined up quite nicely. Although I will say, looking at that, I see it's coming just ahead of that. So this might be an SGR thing, but we'll see once it's clipped in if that's still the case. C-clip. There you are. Put the spacer back in. Can never get these lined up first time. There we go. Yeah, ever so slightly still pushing out there. Interesting. We'll see if that affects it feeding still. Okay, right, that's in. Next. Let's see if this will fit. It might require some modification. No, it looks like it'll be okay. So, let's use a pair of tweezers. Grab it just like so. We'll just drop it in to position. There we go. Next is our hop arm. Let's see, hopefully this is compatible. Looks promising. Line those holes up. Grab our tiny grub screw. There we go. We're not looking to go all the way through, just so that it's sitting at least below the surface on both sides, which it is. Happy days. Spring. Adjustment arm. This needs to go over and then under, because that way when it goes forward it applies. Let's just make sure that the hop is applying as it goes forward. Oh yeah, loads of adjustment on that. That's probably going to be absolutely fine. Happy days. Pop this one here. Yep. Doesn't really matter which way around this goes, it is a circle. It will work either way. Back to the 1.5. Grub screw. I'm hoping this works, because then I can start playing again. I don't mind marshalling. I like to help out, but there is a limit. I want to play too sometimes, guys. Okay, back into here. Now, something to note, if when you go to put this together it's not quite going right, it's probably because this is not in the correct position and you need to reset it. And I'll demonstrate that now, actually. I've got a battery here. So what happens is that's not the default position. You'd think it would be, you know, for purposes of putting it back together, etc. But it's not. When you shoot, it usually ends up somewhere around there. And if you try and put this back together now, it won't work. So instead, you need to pull the trigger and hold it down. Hello, come on. It's not going to do it now, is it? Oh, come on. Well, oh, now I remember why. I've completely forgotten. It's not very often I take this apart. You have to hold down the bolt release and pull the trigger. There we go. Now it can be put back together. Just disconnect the battery for a second. You have to make sure that the gears are reset, otherwise the tappet plate doesn't line up, which is... see if I get this on camera. Oh, knock the camera. There is, just here, this little square block. Is it going to show? There we go. This little square block here is the tappet plate interface. If you don't get that right, it ain't going to work. Alright, let's see if we can get this feeding. No, it's not going to go together, is it? It's going to be a pain. There we go. It's because I didn't have that back. There we go. Right, that's in. Let's give it a test shot, shall we? Here's a mag I prepared earlier. Power. socket so I can get the battery in it. Okay. Close the stock up. Safety squints. Okay, I have already disabled the stop on empty, so it's a matter of observation, but let's see if this works. Apologies that you won't be able to see, but unfortunately my shooting target is a very static one. Let's have a look. Did I reset this to full auto? I did not. There we go. Mostly feeds. Feeds better than it was. So, there we go. And that's how you replace the hop rubber on an SGR 556. Catch you on the next one.